Well, hello, good people. It's time for an episode of Creatively Shaded, your destination for all things Bay Area theater and beyond, honey, where the dish is served and the tea is hot. So let's join our hosts, Bay Area Black artist
Elizabeth Jones,
Sean J. West,
Phaedra Tillery-Boughton.
Come peek behind the curtain.
Hey!
Hello. Hi, how you?
Welcome to another episode of Creatively Shaded. And today is a special day.
Yes, it is. Yes,
we
it
have
is.
a special guest in our presence.
Yes.
We do. It's Dr. Jacqueline Benson.
What's up, Doc?
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, friend, welcome.
Thank you.
Don't be shy now.
I'm not. I'm so happy to be here. I love what you guys are doing with Creatively Shaded.
Thank you.
I never scroll past those clips. I'm like, what they talking about?
A lot we like to say.
And this is our first time meeting, so welcome.
Nice
welcome.
to meet
Pleasure.
you.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because we've worked. We both of you, all three of us have been in
Yes.
the shows together.
Yes.
That's correct.
We were in Carolina Change.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, sorry, it's been a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And then Jackie and I have done The Color Purple together. We've done Little Shop of Horrors together.
Yep. 2 times.
Yeah. So, have you guys ever done anything else other than Carolina Change?
No, I think that was our only show
was
that we.
the first time.
Except, you know what? You did wigs. You wigged me for hairspray.
I did. Oh, yes.
At BAM.
Yep.
Oh, and you
That's
wigged
right.
my Amos Behaving.
Mm-hmm.
So many talents.
We haven't done anything. No wigs, no music, no nothing.
We'll also be wigging
gotta
our
catch
Legally
up.
Blonde.
Yes, I'm doing the
Yes.
wigs for Legally Blonde.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, so the reason why we have Dr. Jacqueline Benson on is because we're going to do a segment entitled When the Lights Go Dim. Lately, we've been noticing that many artists have difficulties managing the stress of the business along with their personal well-being. This has become more apparent with the state of today's turmoil and the influx of theater itself. So we decided to bring on Dr. Jacqueline Benson. I'm just going to briefly give you her bio. Our guest for this session is Dr. Jacqueline Benson, a licensed psychologist and performing artist. She holds bachelor's degrees in both music performance and human development from California State University, Long Beach, and received her doctorate in clinical psychology from the Wright Institute in 2018.
Come on now.
Dr. Benson is currently a member of the counseling and wellness team at Deeper Than Color, where she provides psychotherapy. She is also a health educator and consultant and has developed and facilitated mental health trainings and workshops for organizations such as Girls Inc., Sutter Health, the Dance Equity Association, Brown Girls Do Ballet, and Kaiser Permanente, in addition to being CEO and founder of Center Stage Psychology.
Let's go.
Dr. Jacqueline Benson.
She is not tall. She's an adult, and that's my friend.
All the hats.
Welcome to the
literally.
table.
Thank you.
So we're going to go through our usual stuff. This is where we first talk about some shows we've recently seen.
Okay.
And the purpose of that is also give a little bit of feedback, constructive feedback, and also to promote those shows so that we get asses in seats.
Love it.
Right.
Period.
So,
Okay.
So, what
Out
have
in
we
these
seen?
theater streets.
Yes, that's what we call it. Out in these theater
Out in
streets.
Theater Street.
Okay, so one of the shows that we saw was No More Adjustments. Who wants to talk about that?
Go talk about it.
Oh, No More Adjustments.
Champagne.
That was
Champagne
Heauxs.
Heauxs original piece.
Yes.
So it was, okay, wait, because I don't even know how to explain it.
It's right
the
there.
right way.
Number 4. There we go.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right. No More Adjustments was written by Champagne Heauxs, and it was directed by Lee Rondon Davis. And that was at the, where was we at? We was at Lorraine Hansberry Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I love, so this was a partnership with Lorraine Hansberry Theater where she was given a year to work on her piece.
Yes.
And then did a production, I believe, was it one weekend, like 5 days? 5-day show.
Yes.
So this was a piece in development. For me, initially, it was a lot to take in. My truth is, I was kind of confused initially. And then all of a sudden, it snapped for me. And mostly at the very end, where it talked about how people deal with you and how they embrace you and your art and how you do, and how your art is a lot about your family history and what you've been through. So it was a beautiful story. I feel like it was a beautiful ending. I think it's still in writing development.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah,
I think
for
it still
sure.
has work, but I think the point of the story is going to be something that is really very, very beautiful art that has to do with also taking care of your mind and your body.
Yeah. And she was writing up until that night.
Yeah.
She was
Wow.
giving pages. So I think it's one of those things that it will always be ever evolving. It's not going to be done just yet. And then I ran into her randomly in the neighborhood picking up a pizza. Wow. And so I was able to give her feedback from my perspective. She was like, oh my gosh. Because I saw it as a one-person show. And then there were other people in this piece for this presentation. So she was like going, oh. So I gave some little notes, as I always do.
Yes, if Sean J love you, take his notes.
There you go.
And she appreciated it. She said, oh my God, that's great. So I think it's one of those things, it will, and she thought it was done. I said, no, this is just your second iteration of it.
Yeah.
So don't think it's done or like you're going to move on to something else. It's sort of, the first one was this, drafts. The first draft was this. This is the third draft or 50. Some go through 500 drafts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But at some point you will know when it feels like,
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah. And the other thing we saw, and we just saw this past weekend, was Clyde's at City Lights Theater Company in San Jose. And it featured Kimberly Ridgway, Fred Pitts, Damaris
DeVito. Directed by Aldo Billingsley.
Yes. And so it has a run of, it's in production now.
May 16th to June 9th.
Yeah, so it's running now until June 9th, and we'll talk about that later, of course,
Yeah.
when we talk about shows to see. It's a good show. It's by Lynn Nottage.
Yes.
I think for me, it's one of those pieces where I was a little late because I was in traffic.
Ooh, you was tardy to the show?
I was only by like 1 minute, he said. So I was like, I didn't miss much, right? So which was fine. But yeah, I don't recommend being late for the theater. But no, I said it. I own it.
But I could still say, ooh.
But anywho, it was a good show. I think it's well done. I think my challenge is always, I would love when I can sit in a seat and forget that I'm a director. But there are moments in which I'm going, oh. And that kind of, it doesn't pull me out of it, but it does make me wish that was a different choice. And so I sit and I wonder, was that an acting choice or a director's choice? I think it was nicely staged in some areas, but some things were a little like, so the costuming
That pulled me out.
So
That pulled me out. And not because it was horrible. And that's not what it was.
no, she was flawless.
Listen, first of all, Kimberly was killer, okay? Killer. She looks amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they had her looking amazing every time she came out.
Yeah.
And it was like starkly like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the intention for that character.
Yeah.
I was like, every time I seen Kimberly, I was like, hey.
Hey, Kimberly.
Right? And I don't know that was correct for that role.
That's where
But she
design
looked
meets
amazing.
narrative.
Yeah.
Like,
Say that again, please.
where design meets narrative.
Yes.
Yes, and I don't think that her costume design met the narrative because again, every time she walked in, it took me out of it, and I get it. The character, she should pull presence when she walked in, but I felt like her character pulled the presence, not what she was wearing.
Yeah.
And I was always like, what's she about to come out here in that?
It was like a fashion show, right?
Yeah.
I need to order it. Let me put that in my cart. She was killing it.
Yeah.
Like, killing it.
Flawless.
She did,
Yeah.
man.
But I was really thinking about, so she's been to prison, she's running this truck stop. So it didn't meet the narrative. And so I was sort of like, And then I
always thought she was going to the club after
Exactly.
work. I was like, where's she going out? Did
Exactly.
she get out of here?
and then again on the costumes, some of the actors, their shoes look too new. And so I was like, and so I'm like, would that, it just,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah.
But go see it. I do.
Good feedback.
Go support. You
Yes.
already know what Chandra told us from episode 1. We go support. All of us, your opinion may not match our opinion.
Right.
It may
Make your
That's
own.
true.
something different to you.
Exactly.
And that's what theater is about. It's not always
Creating
feel the
conversation.
same
Yep.
Yeah.
to all of us. So make sure that you go out and still support City Lights Theater.
Yes.
And yeah, go have your own opinion and come back and talk to us.
Yeah.
Let us know. We like to know things.
Yeah, because we love that dialogue. And then I saw Taming of the Shrew yesterday. It was a matinee with the African American Shakespeare Company. You all are seeing it closing weekend. It only had 3 weekends, 3-weekend run. It's a good show. They set it in the 1970s, which was cool. I think it was an updated script because it's very misogynistic,
Yeah.
Kate. But it was sort of like, there's some things in it that I was sort of like, that kind of made me go, what just happened? So it's one of the, it's staged at the Marines Memorial Theater, which is one of my favorite theaters. It's just gorgeous. And so the set was simple. And so it's like a lot of young actors doing their stuff. So it's support them, yes. I think they're gonna grow as they only have one more weekend. But it's a good show. It's a fun show. If you like Shakespeare, even if you don't like Shakespeare, you're gonna go have fun because it's set in the 70s and the music is cool and the dialogue is it's nice.
So the dialogue you can understand.
Well, I've done Shakespeare.
Okay. Well,
But you won't be
again,
lost.
it's not for everybody.
You won't be lost.
Not everybody with y'all.
But I think if you went and saw it, you would still you would get it because it's the way Shakespeare is written. It's all about the intention, and once you get the intention,
so the actors have the intention.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I might. Well, I'm going. So.
Well, we're gonna go, but
we'll,
at the time,
we'll talk about that when we get back.
yeah, 'cause when this episode releases, it will have already closed, so we
Okay.
will have plenty
Love
of talk
it.
about.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it.
All
Okay,
right.
great.
Is that all we saw this week?
Yes,
We slowed down, y'all.
we
Because I think
just
the
a
last
little bit.
episode we had
Oh my
10
God.
shows. To
We
talk
did.
my
about.
We had so
gosh.
many. All right, so we've already given you a brief introduction of our guest, Dr. Jacqueline Benson. Now we want to hear from her in her own words. Please tell us what it is that you do and what is your particular intention in the field of mental health.
Yeah. I wear a lot of hats, but one of the most important things I do is I am a practicing clinical psychologist. So I see people in outpatient therapy. Right now I'm with a group practice called Deeper Than Color, Black founded and owned by a wonderful male Black psychologist, Dr. Bedford Palmer. So I work there. I see clients. The majority of my clients are Black. And I have a few kind of like specialty areas as a clinician. One of them is performing artists because I am a performing artist myself. So that's something I've really been enjoying. So I've had people on my caseload who are, they work in DEI in theater. I've had like ballet dancers now and like just people all across the arts, musicians. So I really love that. And then clinically, I see people who are high achieving Black folks in corporate jobs. So I talk about that a lot with people and what it's like to deal with being a really successful Black person in an environment that does not appreciate that. So I do a lot of work with people who are taking breaks from their jobs, maybe like a sabbatical, have some university professors that I work with. So I do my clinical work. I'm also a working actor. So I am a performing artist. I do clinical work part-time, and then the rest of the time I'm out here auditioning in these theater streets. Headshot, resume, like the whole nine, doing the auditions. The last show that I performed in was The Sound of Music in Southern California with Musical Theater West, which was a really big moment for me because I grew up in Long Beach, knowing of Musical Theater West and had never worked with them. And I was in the Carpenter Center, which is this beautiful space in Long Beach that's attached to my university that I graduated from. And I'd never performed as a musical theater artist on the stage. So it was really exciting. And then I did wigs for 42nd Street for them as well. And now I'm doing Head Over Heels here in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Get it all done.
So doing all of that.
Here goes Chandra. I seen you. I seen it. Your lips was formed.
So question for you. Why did you choose to go into that field?
Into mental health.
Yeah.
People always kind of told me things about themselves. I would say like that's the earliest thing that made me think like maybe I could be a therapist. Because even when I was in high school, I'm a very anxious person. I have anxiety myself. And I would notice like when I was one-on-one with other peers in high school, they would just start talking to me, and they would get comfortable and they would share personal things about themselves. And I always kind of wanted to listen and was interested in other people's experiences. And I was like, maybe this could be a job. But I knew that I love performing arts. So I went to college and I played classical cello since I was in the second grade. And my teacher decided to take me on as a student. I wasn't planning on studying classical music, but Dr. David Garrett, shout out to him. He's still at Cal State Long Beach and in the Los Angeles Philharmonic right now. He was like, I really want to take you on as a student. And I was like, oh. My parents could never really afford private lessons for me. So I was playing in my school orchestra throughout high school. And then I played in a symphony orchestra in LA that's Black owned and led called Southeast Symphony all the way through like my junior year of high school all the way through college. And so that is how I was kind of growing my skills. But he took me on just with where I was. And so I did that, realized I didn't want to be a professional classical musician. Not in that way, not in terms of like professional orchestras, just because it's very male dominated, especially the cello, depending on what instrument you play. It's very white dominated. And I find
that surprising.
Yeah. Shocker. But I appreciate the training and the experience. And yeah, you have to spend so much time alone in like a room by yourself with your instrument. And that does not work for me. I realized like as an artist, a big part of my creativity and my art is being in the space with other people.
Creating.
So I wanted to be actively creating with other people. So that's how I ended up in musical theater. But I still play the cello. I do probably like a lot more pop music kind of gigs now. Like sometimes people call and that's very cool. So I've worked with like a lot of people.
A lot.
I've worked with like, a lot of people that you would recognize.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So now we're going to kind of dive into it, the mental health and wellness component. You know, as an actor, it's very, very difficult what we do. What we do is challenging. One of the things that's real hard is rejection.
Yep.
No. Getting that door slammed over and over again. So can you give us some tips, give our audience some tips on how do we equip ourselves with the tools to be able to navigate rejection in a way that is helpful, like real practical tools?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
I would add helpful and healthy.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Because we all know, like...
Because that bag of Doritos was good, but that probably wasn't what I was supposed to have.
The vices, we could all probably really, name our vices and that kind of thing. But I think one of the big things I want to encourage people to do as an artist is, like, identify what it is that you need. Because one of the things I've noticed that has impacted my relationship with performing over the years is, like, if I'm in a space where I'm not booking anything and what I need is money... I notice my anxiety is higher. So sometimes I'm like, I'm doing okay. Financially, I'm not feeling pressed right now and I'm not booking anything, but my head is clear. I'm not feeling like the next audition I go into, it's like, I got to get it. So identifying like what it is, what are your pressing needs? Because performing is inconsistent. Like, it doesn't matter where you are, like what level you're at. It's just inconsistent. Like it's gig work. So building that foundation in your life where you can get consistency from somewhere, I think is really, really important. That's like the number one thing that I come back to.
Yeah, I love that.
Phaedra.
I don't know how to form my question yet.
Just say what comes to your mind, because your face said it all.
Because are you saying that like building consistency is me going back to my 9 to 5?
Absolutely not. Especially not if your 9 to 5 was not feeding you and was a barrier to your creative work.
Oh, Lord.
Sometimes it's like something in the middle, right? Like there's always flexibility. I think for some people, it's like I don't want to teach. Like, I don't love teaching, but I fell into design work. And I'm like, sometimes I don't have acting gigs, but I have like hella people calling me for wig design. And so I found another kind of pathway to create and make additional income as a performer. And it's like doing those kinds of things and putting yourself out there for those types of opportunities, and just being open to them as well. So.
Oh, okay. I'm doing
Yeah.
the right thing. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Besides eating a large fry, because I do that too when it's
Eat
bad.
the large fry.
I had fries before I got here.
It's sustenance. It's still sustenance.
Yeah.
But I would say with that, because I know for me, I made the choice to keep a full-time job. I made this choice a long time ago that I tried the starving artist thing.
Yeah.
It didn't look good on me. And it didn't feel good on me. So I consciously kept a 9 to 5, which enabled me to do theater. So I was never one who I had to take a job. Like I had to, I got to book this. I got to book this. It was always, I had choices where I know a lot of my fellow actors and creatives don't always have that choice. They have to stay booked and busy in order to like pay rent and health insurance and all that other stuff.
100%.
So I think finding that balance, I'm never in that position where, crap, if I don't book this. So my anxiety isn't there based upon that. So I appreciate that privilege that I have. And so thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. I really relate to that. And I've always been that way as well. Like, I knew I wanted to do something. That's why I went to school for psychology. I was like, I can do this. Like, I can find a way to still be a performing artist. Luckily, I landed in the Bay Area. It has a wonderful theater community. And I was able to, like, go to grad school. I think the Bay is also unique because you can be a really successful like non-equity actor in the Bay Area. There are a lot of opportunities for non-equity actors. A lot of other regions are not like that. Southern California being one of them. It's very hard if you are a stage actor in Southern California. There are not a ton of opportunities, but there are a ton of people competing. But the Bay is a little different. Like there's a lot more access here. So I was able to juggle both. And that also gave me the ability to say no to things. Not feeling that pressure where I'm like, I can take the projects that I feel connected to, as opposed to just like, this is going to pay me.
Pay me.
Yeah.
Give me my money.
Run me my money.
Also, that's important though.
Yeah, for sure.
All the time.
All the time. Yes.
So speaking to that, so with the whole rejection thing, how do you think that can play into someone's self-esteem? And how is that managed when it comes to, I knew I was right for that part. And then, but you don't get it, right? How does a artist balance or manage that?
Yeah. It's an emotion. Like, you're going to feel the sting. I don't think that there's any world where we're not going to feel it. I think it just depends on how we take care of ourselves around it, like how we process it. Because I know of people who they really will sit in that. They're like, no, that was my part. Like, that was for me. Like, I should have gotten that. And it kind of drags on. And to the point where they're all the way in the next season for the company and it's a different show.
And you're still mad.
And you're still mad,
about
right?
something that happened a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It just comes back to like, how do you take care of yourself around that? Because the reality is you can be 100% right for a part and still not book it.
Yeah.
Well, because what is for you will be for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, even initially, like you said, the sting of it, you got to take the sting out, right? It takes a minute to sit through the sting. And once you're okay to push through the sting, you actually realize that. And I don't mean to get churchy on people with my wine and stuff, but you know, when there's a plan for you, right? And sometimes you think you're supposed to go this way, but there's something way over here that's ready for you. And he can't give you that because that ain't what's for you.
Right.
So you may not have gotten that show because there's so many other doors that are going to open for you over here. And if you in this show, you can't go to them doors and open them up.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to realize what is for you will be for you. And if that role you didn't get, you wasn't supposed to get it. That ain't the way the story ends, right? Like,
yeah. And it's like there are things you can control about it and there are things you can't control. One of the things for me as an actor that I realized early in my career, because I am an anxious doer. So if there was something I wanted, I would throw myself into it. I'm like, let me do everything I can that wasn't always the best approach. Because then I found like the heartbreak stung more when I was like already 5 steps ahead. Like I'm thinking about what it's going to be like after I book this. And I'm like, not in the moment, not in the room when I'm doing the audition process. I'm thinking about what if I don't get this? I had to really learn how to be present and also how to be specific about what parts of myself I was willing to bring into the audition process. And not give more of myself emotionally or physically or otherwise than is even needed for audition process. And that's just part of like learning how to put it down. Like I worked really hard on when I walk out of the room, I'm out of the room. I have to put it down because the rest of because there's often a waiting process. Like you're not going to hear anything. Yeah. So if you're stuck, you know, how you transitioning out of the audition process? So I started to like take care of myself, like plan a little something after the auditions, like get out of the room, go have a meal.
Go out and get some ice cream.
Exactly. Treat yourself, like transition out and put it down and kind of set it and forget it.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's a good phrase.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
Good word, Jackie. Good word,
She
Dr.
preaching up in here, Dr.
That's
Jackie.
just my
We
life
laying
right
on your
there.
couch. I hope y'all taking notes.
Take these
These notes, people. Rewind it back if you need
This is
to.
free therapy today.
It really
Okay,
is.
Black psychologists up in here. Speaking of which, so that leads us into how do we deal with our emotions and our emotional well-being when we're taking on heavy emotional roles?
Yes. If you are a Black performer, this is important. I think it's different for everybody. Like knowing when you're in the space to do that and when you're not, I think is one thing. Like what's going on for you personally, which isn't always a conversation.
No.
We can oftentimes be a little like kind of dehumanized by these theater companies when they're doing their quote unquote Black shows. So we have to fight to create a space where we're having a conversation about like, you know, what's going on in the world for Black people, because that's relevant to what's happening with your performers. And then also like, how is everyone supported in their personal life? Are any of these traumatic topics particularly triggering for the actors that you're working with?
Right.
Having those kinds of conversations and advocating for yourself if you're like, this is actually hitting very close to home.
Yeah, I would say with that, it's interesting. I was thinking about, I was in a production of Much Ado About Nothing, and I think I was one of few Black people in the show, and there was something going on in the world at that time, and I couldn't get my lines. And I was working opposite a young white man, and he had no idea of what was really going through for me, and I was like, okay, so, and I can't tell him, right? Because it's not in the room, it's not in the space. So I was just sort of like, if this boy don't get out of my face, I swore I caught myself. And it was just one of those things that I had to be aware of how my presence was being impacted by the outside world and not to bring it in the room. But I also think, to your point, we have to create some level of a practice or process that prepares us when we are in those emotional spaces and how to get in them and out of them.
Yes, 100%. Like having a transitional process, because as creatives, our art, we're often excited about it, and it's bleeding over into our personal lives. And that's when your boundaries get kind of like not the best, right? So you're thinking about it, you're answering emails, you're looking at the material outside of rehearsal. Especially if the material's triggering, be thoughtful about that and kind of find some rituals to help you get in and out of that. That's important.
I had done, oh Lord, now I'm gonna forget the name of the show. Show with the piano and the Black man and all the Black folks they kill him and his wife Sarah.
Oh, Ragtime?
Ragtime. Thank you.
Look, you
First
said a
of
lot
all,
just then.
that is a triggering show.
Yes,
in
it is.
itself.
Very much so.
I happened to do it at the same time as Philanda Castile and I can't remember the other gentleman's name. God forgive me, but that we were in tech during the run of that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was being directed by Dawn Troop.
Okay.
Wow.
Don.
Yeah.
And I remember all of us being like, this is way too much, too close, too soon, too much. Like, it was a lot that week, right? Like, tech week is already hell. And then these two black men were murdered, and our community was in an uproar, and we were just feeling tense. And so I remember the rehearsal room, and Dawn said, I need everybody to stop right now. Everyone in this room, just stop. I need all my black actors in the middle of the room, and I need everyone else around them. And I need you to understand what is going on in our world right now, and how hard this is to do this right now.
Yeah.
And we all wept. And we held each other, and it was like a moment. And I was so thankful to her for that, because it felt like during the whole rehearsal process, we were all like this.
Yeah.
Like just everyone was like this. And that allowed us to breathe. And that's just like taking care of your cast, knowing what's going on around you in the communities that you're wanting these actors to come in and work for you. When you know you pay them little to nothing, when you can pay the carpenter or the lighting or the tech guy $20,000-$30,000 to build the set, but can only give us the pennies that are left, you got to take care of our mental health too.
Yeah. Accurate. Yeah.
You got to take care. Like,
100%.
If you're not going to pay us the thousands and thousands, like the things that we're standing on are more important than we are. Yeah. You got to take care of us in another way.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like that's also communication, which is hugely impactful in a process, because there are always going to be some level of issues or something that comes up in a process. What doesn't always happen is people naming it and like validating what's happening. And like, we can always name it. I feel like it sucks as an actor if you're like, well, this is a need or a concern that should be obvious. Why do I have to bring it up? That's fair. And, you know, sometimes people will make space for that, and sometimes they won't until they hear it. So I feel like that's the work we all do as well, depending on the different.
Even when you're coming to the theater company, because I'm now my theater department hat is on. When you're coming to us to tell us about our wrong, right? It's a way in which you do that too, right? Like if I'm missing something, or I didn't do something, or you think that I should know these things and I don't, please forgive me. I'm paying 100 people over here, and I'm ordering this over here.
Yep.
And not that I'm dismissing all the jobs that I need to make sure I have under control, but notice that when you are telling me something that I'm doing wrong, do it in a constructive way.
Well, yeah, it's that whole grace thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like we don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
And when you tell me I don't know, give me the ability to make it right.
Yes.
Right.
But I can't make it right if you're yelling at me.
Right.
Or you're judging me because you think I did it intentionally.
You think I should know.
Or I should know. And it's just one of those things we don't. It's just sort of like, and in that space, if you are that one in that room, they go, okay, this is really triggering, is having the courage to go, hey, so we're about to do this scene and it's very triggering. Can we do some prep work beforehand and some post work afterwards, right? And I offer this to directors. If you are doing anything emotionally triggering, emotionally depleting, create that space, right?
Yeah.
So that your actors don't have to be
Ask
the
for
one.
it.
Oh,
ask for it.
100%. Yeah.
Like just create that space. Like, this is our ritual. Okay, especially if it's a violent scene against a woman, right? Or any of that. We need to go, whoo. So, guys, we're about to do this scene. So before we do it, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And let's do something to prepare you for it and how to get out of it, right? And I think the actors will go, oh, thank God. You know, because then someone in that space is going, I got to bring this up.
Right.
I got to bring this up. Be the one who brings it up as the director or the stage manager or the production manager. Create that space.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be an active, ongoing conversation, because there's always like a different context depending on what's going on in the room, who's involved, that kind of thing. And like,
what people's own baggage are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't even know what their experience is with violence or what they have, and you just expect us to come in as these blank slates, and that's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. So come in with everybody like treating everybody like they don't know anything, and then you're always protected because now you've made it even, playing field.
Yeah.
So what tools have you used in that situation when you've done an emotional role or been in an emotional space after?
Sometimes I need to step away from it when it's over. That's one that I consistently will do. Even though I tend to be like kind of a perfectionist. I'm like, maybe I need to go over this staging. No, put it down. That's one. Reminding myself that I am not this character experiencing these things. I am an actor telling a story. So how am I stepping out of that? I try to find a physical way, whether that's like shower, change my clothes, reset, and be human again. And I think the other thing is just like conversations about what is the point of the story? Because I think there are a lot of traumatic things that land differently when you understand the context and the purpose it serves within the narrative. I think we all struggle with like violence for violence sake versus like when I have had material that was difficult, if I understood what the purpose of it was in the story, it was much easier for me to
because you could navigate that in a different way to get the same goal, which doesn't mean you have to. This is the phrase I use, excuse me, you don't have to emotionally rape yourself.
No, yeah, exactly. And also just even it makes me think of directors who are like, do that again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. As an actor, I will speak up. I'll be like, this is a lot. Yeah. Like, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You
don't need to do it again.
We don't need to do it again. No. We don't. And actually, that was really hard for me in the process for Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet. I was Natasha. If you know the show, it's very sad. It's really kind of a sad story. And I was kind of going through emotions in the rehearsal process where I was getting frustrated with some of the notes that I was getting. Not because they weren't legitimate, but because I was just in my feelings. And so I had to do a lot of work of like transitioning into rehearsals, preparing myself to go into the space, preparing myself to transition out of the space. And that was something I realized I needed. It was also like a very physical show, like had a lot of intimacy work. So there were just lots of things for me to think about. And so I had to like take care of myself. And then I had to speak up when I was like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable running this again today.
Wow.
Like, that's it. Yeah.
That's good. That's healthy. Speaking up for yourself.
Yeah.
Beautiful work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. One more thing we're going to talk about is relationships.
What are those?
Right. How do we balance what we do and the weight of me and my boo?
Or trying to get a boo.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a unique job, isn't it?
It is.
It is. It is.
Because people don't understand, right? They don't understand, what you mean you got to go to rehearsal?
Right. If you don't date somebody who's not familiar with, and most of us don't typically don't date somebody inside of theater.
Yes.
My type ain't never in the theater, but like we don't typically date people who are in theater.
Yeah.
And so having to navigate a relationship to somebody who's not familiar with theater, or who don't know like the rules of theater, what theater looks like. How do you think it's a healthy way to balance that with somebody who's not familiar?
Yeah.
Or even if they are familiar, because they still be,
trying it.
Well, they shouldn't try it if they're familiar. That is ridiculous.
No,
it's a learning curve.
Sometimes
it's a learning
people-
and if you love someone and you want to be with them, it doesn't matter if you're still in the industry or not. I want to be with you.
Yeah.
And now you're in 3 shows back to back.
Yeah, that's...
When do we get
talk
time
about
to
it.
get... That's real.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I understand that, but I have a conversation before at least for me and my marriage.
Yeah.
I have a conversation before I audition for this next show. Oh, babe, I'm auditioning for this show. It's during these days. It's probably going to be like, we're not going to have Christmas this year. Is that okay? And she'd be like, okay. All right, well, I told you. You're like, no, but I do tell her, like, hey, this is for this block of time. Especially if I get it.
Yeah.
If I get it, I definitely, before I say yes.
That's the hard part.
I hear that. However... it still hurts and it's still hard. So even though you've communicated to me that, I'm going to be out, I still want to see your ass.
Well, come to the show.
It ain't the same thing. It is not the same
I'm
thing.
going to watch you work. I'm going to watch you work.
Beautiful illustration of this.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not the same thing because
You go to work.
I go to work, you go to work. But your work takes you out at night.
Yep. On weekends. Sometimes holidays.
6 days a week.
That's my job.
Right. I still miss your ass.
I miss you too.
Because I love you. And it's still going to...
the video
and it's... you nasty. It's still hard.
I always like to highlight though when I talk about this that like, because I have some clients who are like, I have a client who is an OBGYN and her schedule is insane. Like she's not at home sometimes a lot and she has kids. So she's not an actor, and it's also like a physically demanding job. It's an emotionally demanding job. And it's got like similar dynamics. I think the basis is communication, like ongoing communication. And what makes the acting side harder, I think, is also the inconsistency. It's like, oh, I'm gonna submit for the show. I may not get it, but if I do, we're not gonna have Thanksgiving this year, or we're not gonna have Christmas. Right. And now you also have to wait to find out if I'm gonna get it, or like if I'm not gonna get it, or we're gonna go to that wedding. I don't know. So, I mean, I think our communication with our partners as actors has to be stronger than folks who don't do this, because we have to include them in those decisions. And if a conflict comes up, we got to work it out.
Yeah, because I have to be on stage, so it's not like I could call in sick.
Exactly. And I mean, it's not like we have egos or anything as actors to be told.
Again, I said this is what I'm doing, my show.
Yeah.
And my wife, she's not going to like when I say this out loud, but my wife is required to come once a weekend.
What?
Oh, really?
Required?
I mean, we had an agreement.
See,
Wait, to see you in the show?
Yeah, if I'm in a show for 3 weeks, you should come at least once a week.
Oh, okay.
People should be in the audience supporting. My biggest supporter should be you. If ain't nobody in the audience, one time a week, it should be you. You signed up for this.
And that is specific to how you want
That's how
to
be supported.
Exactly. Your relationship.
The thing about it is that when every week I get a new, you messed up on this line, or you need to step up on this character, or she gives feedback, and I love that. And maybe that's why I would want her to there every week,
because you value her opinion.
Come back and be like, she's the one who's gonna get me. Oh, you missed that line. You didn't come in when you should have today. You not, what's going on? You okay? You on top of your game? Like, it's funny I say requirement, and we did agree to it, and I do kind of like push it. Like, what are you coming this week? But it works for our relationship,
right? And it is specific, yeah. And it could deepen your connection, especially if your wife is like, yes, I love that. I love doing that, and I love talking about what's going on in your show. But I also have worked with actors who are like, when my show opens, please do not come to opening. Like, I don't want anybody from my family or like my community in the audience, because I don't want you guys to come till after opening, or like 2 weeks in, once the show like gets into a groove. So it's different for everybody.
Yeah. But it's about communicating. I've just performed in front of a lot of white audiences, and my truth.
True.
You need somebody black up in there.
And so that was a thing for us to be like, babe, I need somebody
support,
because it's lonely. You know, sometimes when you're at theaters like Kilburn, you know, like I'm not no shade, but it's like for real, it's real. It's lonely.
Yeah.
So
and that's context as well. You know, you got to get that you give people in your communication. Like, this is what this means to me. This is why this makes me feel supported. So that's the biggest thing with relationships, is letting them know. And it's different. Like, you're married. I know people in the community who are like dating, and they're like, every time I start dating someone, they are just completely overwhelmed by the fact that I'm an actor, like a working actor doing theater. So
it does take a while to get used to. It takes a while to get used to, but when you find the person who is for you, because we already say what is for you will be for you.
Accurate.
You'll understand it or learn a way to work with it. I know my career, I feel like my career is boosted because of my wife. Like, her coming to see me has been like, yo, you need to do this. Yo, you need to do, like, you've been playing with this for so long. You need to do this. And this is why I'm here, is because she pushed, right? So it's the relationships and communication and like meeting people and having those conversations about what you do and being honest. Everybody come out and talk about their job. Hey, boo, how you doing? What you do? Oh, I do this. I do this, and I'm going all the time. Hi.
Yeah. And it does become kind of like a part of you, you know? And if you're dating and the person is like, no, I need somebody who's got like a regular 9 to 5, then that's not going to work.
Right. Sayonara.
Yeah, so if you're out there, just know that I do have a 9 to 5, but I also have this, and I have this. So I'm going to be busy, but when you are with me, trust and believe, you gonna be with
You gonna
me.
be all
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Oh, baby.
That's
You better put it. You
it.
better. Sean J over here making a swipe right on the.
Skipping.
There's
This
hope.
ain't no Tinder, but this is creatively shaded. I think to your point, all joking aside, the communication is really, really key.
king.
Because I think
Yeah.
if you are married, if you are engaged, if you are in a serious relationship, or if you're starting dating, it is communicating, this is what I do. I am committed to getting to know you.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is going to take some time. I am not going to be able to be with you every night. This is my
You need
craft.
your own. You need your own thing.
You need your own
Yeah.
thing.
Sometimes
I
I'm
can't
gonna
be
be
you
with
all.
people.
If you're in a relationship with someone who's not into theater, they need their own thing.
Their own
they
thing.
need their
Yeah.
own friends. They
Yes.
need their own stuff.
Right.
Because there's gonna be times that you're gonna be away, and they need that. I always say I want to come support you and your thing. I want to come see. So you need your own thing too,
Yeah.
because we like to be around people who are doing something for themselves as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Play sports. I'll come watch you in sports.
Sean J, moving on.
All right.
So we're gonna slide on into my favorite part. of
Here
the
we
show.
go.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Center
Stage shade.
Say it with us, Jackie.
Ooh.
Center
stage shade.
Ooh, we got real shady. Did you go for the bullshit?
Uh-oh.
And
Oh,
it's
Lord.
entitled How Not to Be a Captain Save a Hoe.
Oh, what?
How Not to Be a Captain Save a Hoe.
Oh boy, is this appropriate today?
H-E-A-U-X, okay? Hoe.
Okay, so we just gonna get into it.
Let's get into it,
Just
okay?
get into it. So,
All right.
Let's do it.
So what happened was
what had happened was this is really shady.
This is shady.
But
Come
not
on.
really on our part.
Nope.
We're uncovering the shade of somebody
Here it
else.
Child. Okay, so what happened was theater posted about, specifically Ray of Light posted about their cast announcement for Legally Blonde, which that I am directing, that Jackie is
Yes.
with. Something you do not want to miss. Okay, the to-do of the summer or the
Don't miss
fall.
it.
Don't miss it. So they posted the cast posting.
Yes.
Someone decided to take liberty and make a comment saying that the visuals on the photo weren't correct for the women of color and that they needed to do a better job. Yes?
That is what
It
happened.
didn't say women of color. It said black women.
Oh, you know, it's my favorite word anyway. I was trying to be nice. That the black women's photos weren't done right. Now, again, if you know me, that don't even make no sense for me to be directing the show and that to happen. But okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So I, being the director and being excited about the cast announcement, commented, hey, you know, this thing seems like this is something that should be in the inbox. You know, this is about joy over here. We're celebrating this amazing casting. If you didn't see it, go look it up. And they proceeded to go, no, this is an entity that has been, you know, malicious in their intent, X, Y, and Z. And again, I said, oh, and they directed it to me. You're the director. You need to make them fix it if that's what. You know, it was very aggressive. Again, I was polite and said, you should go in the inbox with this information. I think this is a better way to deal with the situation. Well, they decided to delete the entire comment and then go on to their social media and story and chop me to smithereens. Basically said that they support and love black women, but some of us are trash.
Oh,
They also
wow.
made a statement that I won't repeat on our creatively shaded space, but
I will.
basically
Ooh, Jesus.
that I should be sexually assaulted in a way.
And
It sounds
called
like a
you-
troll.
And called me several bitches.
And called
okay?
you a magical
Negro as well. I was like literally like ripped to smithereens on their social media. So again, me being Phaedra, you guys know who I am. I'm not easily offended or like I'm not her. So I just inboxed to make sure, hey, because they didn't mention my name, right? I'm gonna be clear and say they did not mention my name. They said all this on their social media, and then so I inboxed and said, hey, am I the one that you're speaking of? And they said 100%.
Oh.
So then I was like,
Oh.
okay, so now you're double downing in what you're saying about me.
Right.
So then I still was very polite, and the exchange happened back and forth, and I was very polite, and I still was called out my name, and I was all these kind of things, and it was wrong, or whatever. So I didn't respond to the person because I was just like, this is out of control.
Yeah,
But we
harassment.
said all this to say, like, you may have been offended by a theater company, granted. I don't know that blasting them on a cast announcement is the right place to do that. I think that a cast announcement is for the cast to be excited about what the work that they're doing, especially if it's ran or it's led by a Black woman.
Yes.
And is cast purposefully as a Black woman for the role, that we have to, and for the assault to come from another person, another Black person is like crazy to me.
In the defense of Black women.
In the defense of Black women.
Defending
so you were
Black
defending
women
Black women
by
while you
one,
attacked a Black woman.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
So my truth is, the next morning I got a one of those Diddy apologies.
Oh, like a sorry I got caught, which is what that was.
I got one of those, and I truly don't have any comment.
Yeah.
Well, so
Wild.
as the only Black male identifying at this table, I would say there's no way in hell I would defend Liz and then at the same time tear you down. Because that defeats the entire purpose of me defending Liz.
Exactly.
If I am a true ally and if I truly support Black women, I would go, hey, girl, so I noticed this posted on IG for the show that you're directing. I have a concern, right? It showed da-da-da. And you'd go, oh, I hear your concern. Those are their headshots that they actually made themselves. So I don't have any control over that. But trust and believe when we actually do the production.
When we step on stage, baby, you won't be.
And in the production photos, we're going to make sure that
everything is on
prominent,
point.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, it's communication.
Yes.
And it's a conversation.
But it's a conversation, folks. And that's the thing that's irritating me, is because don't let this creatively shaded platform fool you. I'm still able to have a conversation with you and talk through things and not feel like I'm above or anything like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that you took to your social media, the fact that you went to run me down instead of just like I inboxed you like, hey, are you talking about me? Like, hey, is that what's going on between you and I? And you still took to your social, even in the inbox, to tear me down. I gave you the moment. So no, your apology is not accepted. So no, I'm not going to come back to you in your inbox. I'm going to use the platform that I have.
Well, because it was, I'm sorry, Liz, it wasn't about defending Black women.
No,
in that
it was
sense.
No, not at all.
You made it about you instead of about what you said it was about, and that became evident in the back and forth.
Obviously. Keyboard courage. I mean, we literally have a licensed psychologist next to us.
I was just about to say, it's
and
kind of
why
like
don't you speak on how this person was behaving?
So, I feel like
Look at you having an answer for somebody else's nonsense.
I feel like, look, the way that we present things does give people context clues about our intent and has a specific impact. Sometimes we intend that impact. Sometimes we don't. If the goal of speaking up was to defend Black women, then when a Black woman involved in the project that you are commenting on approached you and said, hey, let's connect in this way because I want to give this space to my cast to celebrate the announcement. If your intent is to support Black women, what that would look like would be rerouting and say, okay, let's chat. Here's my feedback. Not publicly, because I will also say as an actor, we read the comments. We hella read the comments. And I think sometimes people are like, we're going to go, we're going to tear this production down in defense of the actors. We are an integral part of making this art. And we're putting ourselves out publicly. So if you criticize it, we're going to sometimes look at that and take that personally, even if you didn't intend it that way. So as a director, it makes sense to me that you were like, hey, let's have this conversation offline where my cast can't read it. They have no control.
Can celebrate them, right? Because they repost this. And it's not about it needs to be private. Because you could have posted that comment like, hey, so Ray of Light posted this on there and I have these feelings on your own social media.
Right.
Or you could have went into Creatively Shaded and been like, hey, y'all, this is going on and I think this is wrong. It's about where and when you put it. And that's my biggest issue was, why did it have to go here? Because what your issue was, and we all found out what the real intent of your issue is. Your issue is with the theater company and has nothing to do with my casting. Nothing. Because I'm going to be 100. It has nothing to do with that.
But that does not justify any of the actions.
Behavior.
No. And we have to be responsible for how we present things.
One more question on my what I need as I sit on the couch.
Yes.
Am I wrong in not accepting the apology or not even responding to the apology?
You are never wrong in not accepting an apology because the purpose of an apology is, from a communications perspective, for someone who has caused harm or done a wrong they want to identify, to communicate, hey, I acknowledge that I did a wrong and I want to communicate that to you. You, as the person who's on the receiving end of the apology, you don't have to say, okay, thank you, everything is fixed, because that's a control thing. Mm-hmm. You can apologize to somebody and they can choose not to accept it, and your apology can still move you forward. Mm-hmm. But you cannot control other people. You can't.
Yeah.
Amen.
You just can't.
Yeah, and wrong. You can eliminate wrong from that. It's just it's the reality of how you feel, and it's and the thing is, if I've done you harm, it's not just an apology; it's the accountability of it.
Bingo.
Yes.
And that means I have a responsibility to make it right. And how I make it right shouldn't be me wanting you to go, hey, it's me going, ooh, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And I need to make this right. And how I make it right will demonstrate to others who and what I am as a human being.
Absolutely.
And how I walk through this world.
Yeah. Are you a safe person? For sure. Because if the point of the apology is for somebody else to change their tune and make you feel better, that's not really an apology, is it? It's just kind of an attempt to control the impact of your harm, which is not, that's not really.
You up here speaking the gospel.
The truth on them. All right. Well,
keep your keyboard courage at home, okay?
Period.
Talking out the side of your neck.
Yeah. We can see you.
We see you. Or don't.
Don't try us,
We'll
okay?
see.
So
don't
next up is Into the Shade.
Ooh, I love when Sanjay says that.
And this is our segment where we take questions from our audience or questions that we've been asked by other folks and give our 411 on it. And this question is, what do you do when you've auditioned for a show, haven't heard back from that show, but discovered the casting post on social media or their website?
Ooh, it was me. It was me.
Oh.
What do? You don't audition for that theater company anymore.
I think that is one option.
That
in
is
which
one
you
option.
can
Spend
address.
my time.
I can see that could also be one way to view that. I would say also that's an opportunity to give that company feedback and go, hey.
So I'm gonna email them after I emailed them
I
asking
said,
about my email.
I would have an option of emailing them feedback and go, hey, boo-boo. So just something you may want to think about. I auditioned for your show. I didn't hear back from you all at all.
But I love your post about your cast. That's
But
great.
I saw your casting and saw that you just want to think about how that may look.
Or maybe it went to my spam. I'll check it.
I checked my spam and it wasn't there. But just think about the impact that may have had on anyone in the community, and what is it? What do you want to represent in the community? That would be my feedback.
Oh.
As an option. It may not be what everyone else would do.
What you would do, Liz? Why you say, oh?
I'm just always so thankful how Sanjay is continuously encouraging us to give feedback, because I don't ever want to do it. I'm like, you gonna fuck around and find out, because I ain't the one. And I just be like, but then I hear his voice. I literally hear his voice in my head. I'm like, okay. And my feedback is always like one sentence. But I gave it because of you, and I thank you.
I think your sentences will grow over time.
It will. It will grow over
the
time.
kindness of your heart will
And so I agree with you, and I agree with you, but I don't feel like, well, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm not about to teach you. I ain't gonna do it.
And I understand that, and this is just the way I want to move through the world, is that we are all teachers and we are all learners. And we can never become better human beings if we don't hold ourselves accountable and others accountable.
That's right.
And the only way to do that is to share that with them, right? It's sort of like, if I want you to do better, but I'm keeping it all to myself.
Time I expect you to do better. You don't know what's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I come to you lovingly, right? Like I come to you in ways like, hey, like I said, hey, boo boo. So
Minimal.
right? Because that's how I have to walk through the
Yeah.
world because I want to receive that, right?
Yes.
So because I have hurt people in the past, right? Not knowing that I
Yeah.
hurt them because I've been all outspoken. This is who I am, but I've hurt someone, right?
Yeah.
And so they say, well, you know what she said was kind of hurtful. I went, oh, I am so sorry. Oh, I will never do that again, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's how I want us to be better human beings, and that's why, be it a relationship you have with someone or not, it's a relationship of being better human beings. And so,
And that's why I'm thankful for you, because you're encouraging me. Because I'm always wanting to burn shit up. I'm like, let's burn it up.
but sometimes you gotta burn shit up.
For real.
It depends on the
real.
company. It
Exactly.
depends on the
Don't
situation.
get me wrong. I ain't-
and the way in which you burn it up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Depends.
and people who know me know.
Well, we know you and we do know.
I'll burn some shit
Yeah,
up.
and like, is this the first time that you've given feedback, or is this the
Oh,
fourth
that's a
or
good point.
fifth
That's a
time
good
that
point.
this feedback has been given to this
Yeah.
company, and they've demonstrated that they just
Exactly.
don't care?
I see you.
Good information, you know?
Okay, I guess I didn't. I'll be emailing you guys.
Jeez. All right. So, thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh, we're so glad to have you
Oh
here
my
with
gosh.
us.
so
Before we move on, I
fun.
really wanted to say that because it's been so insightful. It's so wonderful to have someone with your level of expertise.
And guess what?
What?
You are our first guest.
Yes,
guest.
our very first one.
Yeah, it's true.
It's so true.
That's an honor.
yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna talk about how you need to get your butt
In the seats.
No
What-
theater streets.
What are you going to go see this week, this month? in
Come
the
on,
Bay?
here it is. All right, so the first up is The Infinite Wrench by the San Francisco Neo-Futurists. 30 original plays in 60 minutes, ranging from the personal to the political to the profoundly what the fuck, all truthful and inspired by the lived experiences of the performers. On stage every Friday and Saturday evening in SF. San Francisco. Free tickets for BIPOC artists using code LFTB. Go to sfneofuturist.org.
And also, like we talked about earlier today, you need to go out and see Clyde's.
What?
City Light Theater Companies featuring Kimberly Ridgway, Damaris DeVito, and Fred Pitts. Past the long line of truckers waiting outside, Clyde's Sandwich Shop is more than just a greasy spoon. It serves up a chance at redemption for its formerly incarcerated kitchen staff. Owner Clyde may be a devil of a boss, but the workers discovered purpose in their lives as they find themselves banding together and sharing a quest to create the perfect sandwich. Now on stage until June 9th. Tickets at cltc.org.
And next up is Tick Tick Boom, playing at NCTC featuring Marcus J. Page. That's my baby boy. From the creator of Rent comes the story of a young composer on the eve of his 30th birthday. Struggling to write the next great American musical, John can feel the time to make his mark on the world slipping away. As the people he loves move on to new careers and new places, John is faced with a choice: find security or follow destiny. Now playing until June 6th. Tickets available at nctcsf.org.
The Glass
Come on, get it out now. Get it out.
The Glass Menagerie at SF Playhouse featuring William Thompson Hodgson and understudy Jake Fong. My bad, Jake. I forgot to mention you last time. Tennessee Williams' memory play tells the story of the idle dreamer Tom Wingfield, his overbearing mother, and his innocent and frail sister. With their father absent and the Great Depression in motion, the siblings find comfort in distractions. When a gentleman caller arrives for dinner, it's uncertain if things will change for the better or shatter their fragile illusions. Now on stage until June 15th. Tickets at sfplayhouse.org.
All right, we gotta go see Head Over Heels. And that is playing at Berkeley Playhouse featuring the lovely Jacqueline Dennis, B. Noel Thomas, and Miles Mecklin as Jazz Cook. Pop rock meets poetic prose in the 16th century musical comedy about the royal family exploration of love, friendship, gender, and sexuality as they search for their missing beat. To the tunes of the 1980s all-female rock band The Go-Go's. Now on stage until June 30th. Tickets at berkeleyplayhouse.org.
And as they say, life is a cabaret. Cabaret playing at Center Rep at the Lesher Center for the Arts, featuring Rotimi Agbabiaka as the MC, Antonia Reed, Jacob Henry Nafa, and Dedrick Weathersby. At the close of 1920s Berlin, hedonistic nightlife thrives and expats, locals, and artisans coexist at the seedy Kit Kat Club. With the political rise of the Nazi Party, an ominous and violent landscape emerges through Germany. Some remain oblivious and apathetic, while others sound an alarm. Now playing until June 23rd, tickets available at lesherartscenter.org.
Garuda's Wing at Magic Theater at Fort Mason Center for Arts and Culture by Naomi Izuka, directed by Bay Area's own Margo. We love you, Margo. This mysterious new play is a mesmerizing blend of personal intimacy and international intrigue. Garuda's Wing is a magical experience, a spellbinding trance that begins in Borneo and takes us back and forward in time. Hold on and follow the ghosts as we traverse a riveting tale of search, discover, and even murder, both at an intimate, familiar level and on a grand, global, colonial scale. On stage, June 5th through June 23rd. Tickets at magictheater.org.
All right, this one's special, guys.
Yes, it is.
Why?
It's SistahFriend, written by yours truly, Phaedra Tillery-Boughton, directed by the Margo Hall. It'll be a stage reading presented by Three Girls Theater during their Where Are We reading series. This dramatic comedy reveals the hard work behind Black girl magic as it follows three best friends in their 40s through life-changing obstacles that threaten their sacred friendship. Reading takes place on June 16th. There are free.com tickets at Three Girls Theater. The letter 3, y'all. The number 3, girls, GIRLS theater.org.
And last but certainly not least.
At all.
Oh, God, girl. I, Too, Sing America.
Yes.
SFBATCO at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. Co-creation, concept, and music by Othello Jefferson. Directed by Rodney Earl Jackson Jr. I, Too, Sing America is a theatrical concert celebrating the works of poets of color, featuring Langston Hughes, Francis Chong, Vince Gotera, and more, set to original music and choreography. Originally produced by SFBATCO in 2018, it was named Theater Bay Area's Outstanding Musical of 2019.
Come on.
Also awarded Outstanding Direction and Outstanding Choreography. I, Too, Sing America is a soulful symphony that celebrates the diversity of BIPOC American life through music, dance, and the poetry of great authors. Playing June 13th through the 15th, tickets available at sfbacco.org.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
a lot of stuff to go see.
so much stuff to see. There is no excuse, okay?
Get
Put
your
that
butt in them
in a
seats.
theater seat.
Yes.
Please support our theater patrons.
Yes.
That didn't come out right, but
Absolutely.
you know what I'm talking about.
Can I quickly say?
Yeah.
When I went to go see Clyde's the other day, I went to go Jackie's place and had dinner first, which was a Black-owned restaurant.
Oh.
Talk about good food. Ooh. So don't just go out to see Black theater. Also, try to go find Black restaurants, Black bars.
Yes.
There's a lot of new Black areas to go be at in the Bay Area, especially in Oakland and the East Bay and stuff. Go to those places and then go to the theater.
Is Jackie's in San Jose?
Jackie's is in San Jose.
Okay.
Jackie's place is Black-owned. Listen, I had fried chicken, ribs.
She just had a moment, y'all.
And rice and gravy, okay?
I think it's
a biscuit.
orgasmic.
We
Is it
will put the
orgasmic?
link up.
Yeah, we'll put the link for
good.
that
We'll give them
restaurant
a
as
shout
well.
out as well.
Go there and then go see Clyde's. It's a great combination.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us on
Thank
this
you.
episode.
I appreciate y'all
Salud.
so
Appreciate
much.
everyone.
Cheers,
Thank you for being our first guest.
Yes, that is our show
an
for today.
honor.
And listen, we only got one more episode
We
for
have
y'all
one
this
more
season.
episode in the
this season.
season.
And we have some amazing announcements that will
can't
be
wait.
released on our next episode. So watch this one, but you already watched it.
Yes.
And then stay tuned for the next one because we have some really big announcements that are coming on for our final show
Thank
episode.
you. And as
Thank you.
always, stay fierce, fabulous, focused, and
Black.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.